Hello and welcome to Web Graphics at Lambton College. I am your instructor, Carly, and I will be here teaching you web graphics. So I am going to assume that you already know how to turn on a computer and you know how to go into your program files and open Photoshop by Adobe. I am recording on a Mac, and I'm also recording with Creative Cloud. You may be in, we are using Windows, and we are using Adobe Creative Suite 5.1, I believe. So first, let's explore the interface. Up here we have our applications menu. It's very different on the new Creative Cloud Suite. Things are very different. We don't have our Adobe Bridge by default up here that I can see, but we do have our options menu, applications, and we have our toolbar down the side. If you choose, you can press these two little arrows up here, and they will allow you to shrink this to make it smaller, depending on your resolution size. Over here on the right, we have our general navigation. So what's most important, we will find out in a second, is what you will see in the layers box here. I am going to first open a new document, and I'm going to go down up to File, then down to New. This is our long form. I'm going to give it a name. May as well call it New Document, so we can just get the idea. We are designing this for a web, which is a preset. We can change the size of our dimensions. We can change them from pixels to inches, centimeters, millimeters, so on and so forth. Picas. We can change our screen resolution, and we can change our color mode to anything we choose, whether we're printing or working for the web, or we are doing something for, print for the web are general things that we'll be covering. So we won't go too far into lab or grayscale, but we may tap into it a little. We can change our backgrounds. The most important things you will see on this screen are our screen size, which is our width and our height, as you can see here, so 800 by 600, and our size is 800 by 600. Our screen resolution, which for print, let's see what happens when we change our preset to photo. Automatically our size changes. We turn to a landscape. We have new options in our size window. We can here again change our width and height. Our resolution has changed because print needs much higher resolution depending on the size of the print we're planning to print, of course. Our color mode, however, now should be changed to CMYK, which stands for cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. And this is the color mode we will use for print. And this red, green, blue, or RGB color mode is what we will use for the web. And we are going to leave it at that. We've created a new document, and oh, it's taking its time. Interesting. We have some new things going on here because we have a new program. Great. So let's take a look. This is our document, otherwise known as our canvas. So why don't we first take a look at what we have here in our menu, our tool menu. Notice here there are little horizontal lines down our tool menu, or our tool panel. I like to call this my magic box. And these little lines here signify the different compartments in our magic box. I'm first going to go down here. At the top we have our selection tools. We have a marquee tool. We can select various parts of this image and then manipulate them. But one thing that we probably should note before we go any further is what's going on over here in the layers panel that I mentioned earlier. This is our background layer. It is like the canvas that you're working on when you're doing a painting. It is locked. If you don't have that background canvas, you can't do any painting. However, we don't really need to call it that, and we don't really need it to be locked. So, because it limits the things that we can do. So we have two different options. We can either change the background name by double-clicking on the layer, and it will bring up this dialog box. I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to make sure I get into the habit of creating a new layer. So this is a new layer that I have just created above this background layer. These two eyes here distinguish the fact that these two layers are visible. When you turn the eyes off, they are no longer visible. So I am going to turn that background layer off because I don't really know that I want it there right now. I'm going to go down here. Actually, before I do anything, I have to deselect this because I made a rectangular marquee, which you may occasionally do by accident. Oh, look, I did something else. I'm going to go back. I'm going to go Command-Alt-Z, Command-Alt-Z, or Control-Alt-Z in my case. So I'm going to now deselect. I'm going to go to the select button. Click D, deselect, and I'm going to have a free workspace here. Hide this. These little arrows, as you can see in our menu, can open and close our panels. But first I'm going to, actually let's make a new layer, just for the fun of it, so I can show you how the layers are created. I'm going to call this circle, and it may actually by default create a whole new layer, but let's just take a look. I have, oh no, we did it in our layer, that's fantastic. Down here we have our default rectangular box. So it's a rectangle tool. We've now created, as you can see over here in the corner, a shape, which would actually be, you could resize this to any shape that you like, because it is a shape that was created mathematically by the computer. So let's see, let's go back. Oh, we're stuck. Oh, there, we just keep making more and more. We don't want to do that. We want to move these shapes around. So we can't do that when we have this tool here selected. Notice in this control panel up here, or options panel, whatever you choose to call it, we have many things that we can do with these shapes. Because we are on this shape tool, we are also over here on the rectangle that we just created as opposed to the circle. As you can see, we now have 4 layers, and we're going to move that rectangle box by clicking on the Move tool at the very top. It is probably the most often used tool that you will use in Photoshop. It is what you need to go to get out of something you're in, usually. So now that we are in the Move tool, look how our options panel has changed. I'm going to leave you here, and we'll carry on with this in a moment.